Hello, my name is Eliana, and in this video, I'm going to be speaking on lessons from Ruth. So to summarize a bit of Ruth Chapter 1, Naomi had a husband named Elimelech. Naomi's husband, Elimelech, died, leaving her widowed with 2 sons. Her 2 sons took Moabite woman named Orpah and Ruth. Then her sons eventually died, leaving both Orpah and Ruth widowed as well. Naomi began traveling to the land of Bethlehem, but along the way she told Ruth and Orpah to each to return to their mother's home, which was in Moab. She also told them, "May the Lord grant that you find rest, each one in the home of her husband." Then she kissed them goodbye, and both Ruth and Orpah were crying out loud. Both Ruth and Orpah said that they would go with her and her people in Judah. And Naomi was consistent by saying, "Go back, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I said I have hope, and if I actually had a husband tonight, and even gave birth to sons, would you wait until they were grown? Would you go without marrying? No, my daughters, for it is much more difficult for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has gone against me." Now Ruth and Orpah both had a decision to make. They had to weigh their options and choose the path forward. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. Still, Naomi insisted Ruth to go home, to return to her gods, her people, and to follow her sister-in-law. But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from following you. For where you go, I go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." Just from chapter 1, there are lessons that we can apply to our lives. One of them is that Ruth and Naomi's life didn't end when tragedy struck. Ruth could have chosen bitterness and anger, but she chose loyalty and faithfulness. She wasn't masking her pain, but she also didn't allow it to dictate her future. She could have said, "Look at my life, it's horrible. My husband died, my father-in-law died, my brother-in-law died. I deserve to be angry. I deserve to be selfish." She knew her life wasn't over. She didn't allow what had happened to her to affect her identity. We can get to a place where we go through something so hard that we give ourselves permission to be bitter and petty. We think we deserve to live that way. If we choose to live that way, we are only hurting ourselves. We are not doing ourselves a favor. When Naomi and Ruth arrived to Bethlehem, she said to the people, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty." Why call me Naomi when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me? Naomi no longer wanted to be called Naomi. She wanted to be called Mara, which means bitter. Basically saying her life is bitter, which therefore means she was identifying her life by the loss she went through. How many times have we said, "This happened to me," and now instead of you walking from strength from that, you're walking with shame from that, as if God intended it to cripple you rather than it to help you grow and use it as a testimony. God is there, and He's always helping us through life. From that, we can learn that no matter what we go through, it does not mean we have to cripple ourselves or stop hoping in the Lord. I'm not saying we mask our emotions or never grieve in seasons of mourning. Those seasons are necessary, and in those seasons, we can still choose to walk faithfully and obediently. Ruth and Naomi both traveled to Bethlehem. Despite their sorrow, this was a place completely new to Ruth. New customs, a new language, a new God, which is the true God. A second lesson would be Ruth's intentions were pure. Here's the thing, Ruth didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't know that she was going to get married to Boaz and conceive a child in the future by simply following Naomi to Bethlehem. Ruth had a choice to stay in Moab or to go with her mother-in-law. And she chose to go with her mother-in-law simply out of her loyalty towards her, not due to her own selfish ambition and goals. So many times I feel like we can struggle to do things with a pure heart. A pure heart that says, I choose loyalty and faithfulness over comfort and quick satisfaction. So many times we can live in a way where the intention is built on what I gain from things. We do an act of kindness, post that video, attend church, and yet it's simply for growing on social media, or feeling superior to those around you, or trying to prove a point. When we're supposed to be living for the Lord, living is not supposed to be constrained by human approval or simply from what we gain, as in possessions or status. I'm not saying that goals and godly desires are evil. What I am saying is that sometimes in order for people to be obedient to the Lord, they have to have something in return immediately. And that's not how the Lord works. We don't obey God and then poof, we'll get something in return. It's not like that. And God knows the intentions of our heart. And when we truly seek after Him with a pure heart, with a clean heart, blessings will just naturally flow from that. It's not, if I do this, I will be blessed. It's, if you're obedient, if you're faithful, and if you have a pure heart doing it, living God's way will always produce good fruit. Ruth wasn't being loyal to Naomi to gain something in return. Loyalty was in her heart, not something she was performing. The third lesson that I got from reading chapter 1 was her origin did not define her. When Ruth chose to go to Bethlehem and leave Moab, she was not only choosing to leave her family of origin, but an environment that was known for worshiping false gods, and she was choosing Bethlehem, God and His land. You see, Ruth didn't allow her origin to define her destination. So many times we stay in places because it's comfortable, or because it's how we grew up. Like Ruth, we need to walk away from environments and even people that can hinder our future destination. This example from Ruth can be applied to all of our lives. Maybe there's an area in our lives we need to surrender to God. Maybe there's something holding us back we need to walk away from. God had a plan in store for Ruth, but in order for her to receive it, she had to leave her home of origin. She had to leave the place that was known for false gods. When Ruth told Naomi she wasn't going to leave her, she also said, my God is your God. My people are your people. Ruth was saying, Moab is no longer my home. Those people are no longer my people. Those false gods, I don't surrender to. She was claiming her identity in the Lord. She knew her identity wasn't tied to what had happened to her, that her future wasn't tied to her past, that her hope wasn't tied to the loss that she had just experienced, that it was tied and stable in the Lord. Like Ruth, let's trust God through the pain, after the pain, or even during the pain. Let's put our entire life in His hands. Ruth didn't know the outcome of going to Bethlehem, but she remained faithful and acted with a pure heart. Let's be obedient with a pure heart, having hope in Jesus Christ, knowing His plan is perfect. Through our weakness, through the trials, He will make us strong. When walking into the unknown and the newness of things, let us remember it's not in vain, meaning our obedience and faithfulness is never wasted. To each step we take in faith, there is a purpose in it. I plan on making a video for each chapter in the book of Ruth. These were just some of the lessons that I personally learned from Ruth chapter 1, and I'm very sure that just from chapter 1 that we can even learn more from it. I pray this video was good to you and encouraged you, as it did to me. May God bless you.